Hi, this is Dave with Media Digitronics. In this video, I'm going to give you an overview of how you can use ScrapPage Pro to build linked family tree with descendant pages and very graphical presentations in no time using your GEDCOM files that you can download from Ancestry or other family heritage sites or programs. So anyway, to get started here, I'm going to bring up ScrapPage and show you exactly what I've done with some of these some new concepts called templates. And let me open one of these up real quick here. Here's a 5-gen tree. And you can see it's kind of a graphical presentation here. And so how do you populate this? I mean, you don't have to go through you don't have to go through each one of these nodes and add things. There's a little feature here that I've added into ScrapPage. And what you do is you go in here and you, like for instance, would call up, let's call up just anybody, it doesn't matter here. And we'll say, hey, since I want this to be my kind of base tree, I'm going to take off the back and home buttons. You'll see about them in just a second, how they work. But anyway, right now I could just say fill this template. And what it'll do is it'll go through your GEDCOM file and find all the links and the names and fill the template. There's a little box here that's used for presentation of this information. But anyway, it quickly filled the template with all the information that was available in the GEDCOM file. So each one of these now is linked to the data that was in the file, and you can add other things to it. For instance, if you wanted to add, a photo, you would go here and you'd go up here and tell it, hey, I want to put an embedded photo in here. I have to have a photo holder first. I didn't tell it to do that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a photo holder. You have an option of adding that when this page is constructed, by the way. So don't worry about it if it's not there. You can always add one later. But anyway, if I added this, I have to just turn it off so it's not in the way. I could go in here then and say, hey, I want to add a pop-up to this. And it would give me the option of going and finding a photo. And let's just say we took this here of my grandfather, and we put him in there. And you can see it's going to letterbox a little bit. So I'm going to tell it letterbox it with white. And I'll say, okay. Now, his photo's in there, and if I was to go ahead and view this page, it would come up with him. Well, let's try that. We'll go in here, and I'll just tell it to build an action page. And when it comes up here ready to do this, I'll just tell it I want to make it called test. So we'll make it test and tell it to build this page. So now that the page is built, we can view it. And you'll see there's that button that I added, and there's his picture coming up. All right, so you could just go ahead and populate these things with whatever information that you have. These could be photos, they could be other kind of documents that you just scan, or anything like that. So I think what I'll do now is let's just shift over to one that I do have populated here. I put a number of things in here just to show you how these linkings work. You can see these all have photos that are going to pop up of the pictures of these people. Some of them can be scrolling photos if you want. There's one for the young lady here that scrolls through with a bunch of pictures of her. And also, just like I've shown you in other videos that I've done on these trees, the information is contained. You can see it pops up the data that's contained in the GEDCOM file for any of the people you pick. So that's all still there, in addition to the photos that we showed you, or I showed you just earlier here with the young lady down here. We can also link graphic pages to it. You'll see that there's a little G that comes up here that indicates that there's a graphic page linked to it. What exactly is a graphic page? Well, let's go over here and take a look at one. Here's one for Walter Gordon Kelly. This pops up, and you can see that if we click on this as instructed, that will happen. Click here, and it'll show us a bunch of his achievements as athletic prowess. If we click on these photos, it'll cycle through photos of his life. Here it says he was one of 5 brothers, and we can bring up the pictures of him and his brothers and scroll down through them. We've got all that kind of information in this single page, and when we decide we want to go back, we'll just back up and go back where we came from. We can also put descendant trees For instance, here is my a tree here for Aurelia Warner. We'll bring her up. This was automatically generated, by the way, and all the boxes were filled in with the GEDCOM information in ScrapPage. This comes up then and gives the information that we might want to see here. For instance, we can go to her page if we want to do that, and we can tap through some photos of her and some other information that might be included. We back up and we come back where we came from. If we go here to her children, you can see here a picture of him coming up, along with, say, her, and all of them. They all have their pictures inserted here. And then we can say, furthermore than that, we can go over and say, hey, do we have anything on her husband? And we pull that up, and sure enough, we do. If we click on these photos, right or left, we can move them any direction we want. And we jump back and say, there we are, we're done with that. And then when we get tired of this, we can always go back home. So here we are back home now. And then we can continue to page through and look at any photos that we want or any other information that might be included. You can include descendant trees for lots of people, anybody on the tree for that matter. And here's one, for instance, of the grandfather. And he and his wife had 15 children, and you can see that there was quite a few that we attached pictures to here. And we can always go back to a family tree here, and you can look at a subtree again, or a descendant tree of a descendant, of course. You can link these things in any different ways you might choose. So here's one for Edward Coleman, and you can bring up a scrollable picture of his son, and if you want, of his daughter. And you can scroll them either direction, by the way. You can set them to scroll either up or down or side to side. So as you can see, you can include like a vast amount of information. And the other thing that's kind of nice is you can just scroll backwards, or you can always jump back home anytime you feel like it. So anyhow, that's the way I have this thing set up. And as more information becomes available, you just enter it into the page and rebuild it, and there it is. Rebuild that page. You don't have to rebuild them all. Just whenever you find out any more information, you can add it to a page, and then that it lets you grow your presentation as your data becomes more and more available to you. So that's a pretty quick overview of how pages can be linked and a graphic presentation of your data can be made using ScrapPage Pro. Until the next time, this is Dave. Bye-bye.